Hey, what's up everyone, I'm Andrew, and in this video we have two laptops. One is ASUS Eee PC 1101 and the other is Dell Inspiron N5040. And both are pretty old models, but I got a request to make something useful. First, let's start with the ASUS. This is ASUS 1151, also known as Seashell, and these models were released back in 2009, which is almost 15 years ago. 2009 was a kind of transition year because of a couple of reasons. A couple of months earlier, in 2008, were introduced and released the first Intel Core series, the Intel i3, i5 and i7, and all of these CPUs were game changers to the whole market. But also the same year, 2008, the first MacBook Air was introduced by Steve Jobs, and here the things start changing rapidly. Most of the tech companies were in the race. Who is gonna make a slimmer laptop, or who's gonna make better design and functionality, but also who's gonna be first in performance. In the same year, many companies raced, but that meant the downfall of many other well-known brands. Now let's take a look at this ASUS, and later we're gonna continue with some stories. I noticed that the motherboard is repaired in some places, and there is a super glue on the CMOS battery, but in general the motherboard is still well. Now I moved to clean the motherboard and later the rest of the electronics. To clean the motherboard and the electronics, I used a 96% isopropyl alcohol, brushes, cotton buds, and a hair dryer just to speed up the drying process. Also, I had to wash the motherboard 2 times until I removed all the paste from the repairs, but in the end everything is looking much better. Also, I have made a small upgrades here. Instead of using mechanical disk, I go with a 120 gigs SSD, which is going to be good enough for this laptop. Now, while I'm working on this laptop, let's back to some stories. The respawn from the ASUS were the cheaper options, like this laptop that I'm working on. 11.6-inch display with 1366x7068 resolution, Intel Atom CPU, DDR2 RAM, and all of this is coming with a Windows XP. The design of the laptop is glossy and thicker than the competitors, from the MacBook Air. But the price was much lower also. This ASUS laptop I think costs about $400 and the cost of the first MacBook Air, as I remember, was around or above $1,500. Plus, if you want SSD upgrade, the price will go over $2 grand, which back in 2009 was insanely high price, but that is going to change in the future. Lately, in 2009 in October, the Windows 7 was released. And with the new operating system, new stuff has arrived. The Windows XP supports DirectX 9.0C, and the Windows 7 has DirectX 10 and 11 support, which is a massive difference in the world of gaming and graphics. After assembling the ASUS laptop, I started with testing, checking the hardware, and I continued with installing Windows. And as Windows, I used Windows 7. The drivers and the most of the stuff are still available on the web, so searching for something wasn't a challenge. After I finished with the ASUS, I took the Dell Inspiron N5040. The Dell Inspiron N5040 hit the market, I think, in 2011, and this model was available with more options, like with a new generation of Intel Pentium CPUs, or with a M or mobile Intel Core CPUs. And this laptop comes with a Windows 7 Home Premium operating system. Also, the CPU on these models is upgradable, so later the things can be changed. And as well, the RAM and the disk were easy upgradable. I think the Dell The Dell N5040 was a kind of a huge success and very fast spread on the market. This laptop has minor problems with the hardware, like with the motherboard or display, but all of that later has been changed with the Dell N5050, which was more powerful and more stable. Also, the both models were used for years and years, and even today there are many of these models still around. After I finished with disassembling, I moved to cleaning the electronics and all other parts. The electronics, I clean it using standard things as always, like 96% isopropyl alcohol, brushes and cotton buds. To clean the display, I used anti-static gloss cleaner, but mixed with alcohol, and a soft cleaning cloth. And to clean the case, I used the same method as to the display, but some parts of the case that were without electronics, I wash it using soap and water. And to this laptop, I upgraded the CPU from Intel Pentium to Intel i3. And instead of using mechanical disk, I used SSD. This is a small boost for this older machine, but good enough to be used for basic things. I got a request just to do some small upgrades, and now to be able to play videos, music and browse the web. Anyway, this machine is going to be placed in a workshop, so it will do a good job there. Now, while I work on this Dell, let's back to some stories. 2011, or the year when this laptop was released, was the year full with ups and downs. In 2011, Intel released their second generation Intel Core CPUs, or the Sandy Bridge. The same year, the AMD released their new AMD Bulldozer, or the FX series. And this CPU started selling very rapidly, at low prices and a good performance. Even I had a computer with the AMD FX CPU, and it was pretty solid for its time. In the graphic card area, NVIDIA released the 500 series, which was a dual GPU and a real monster on the market, and a real monster in the performance, and also very rare. The same year, NVIDIA released their 3D Vision 2 glasses, which back in time was an ultimate tech, but also this model was the last generation of NVIDIA 3D Vision glasses. The game choice in 2011 wasn't bad either. Some of the games that came out that year were Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, where many of us waited how the story will continue or end. And I can say that the Modern Warfare series from Call of Duty has one great story, it's like a movie. The same year the Battlefield 3 was released, and this game has kind of pushed the limits in the multiplayer sector and in the better graphics. And the Battlefield 3 is still alive even today, I mean in the moment of making this video. Also in 2011, many other well-known titles were released, like Batman Arkham City, Portal 2, Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls V, Crysis 2, which is one of my favorites, Assassin's Creed, Revelation and many other games. 2011 was also the year when Android phones and tablets started taking off, and the year when the iPhone 4S and the iPad 2 came out. And 2011 was somehow a year when the world of tech has changed a lot, and also a world of social media platforms, and even YouTube started skyrocketing. Well, and I'm done with assembling the Dell N5040. Now, after I assembled the laptop, I moved to running some tests and installing Windows. And as Windows, I go with the Windows 10 Home. And finally, the both laptops are ready for use. Now let's take a closer look. The ASUS for today's standards it's pretty slow and not really to do more stuff on it. But the main purpose of making this laptop is to serve as an arcade machine. The owner of this laptop plans to make a library of older arcade games and some other older games that can be played here, which is a good idea. The Dell is a little bit better, I mean, it's much faster compared to the ASUS. The main use of this laptop is going to be for browsing the web, sending some emails and documents, watching some videos, listening to music, and basically this is going to be all. And yes, this laptop is still good for these very basic things. And also is good to play some older games. I've tried to play a Cossacks 2 and this game is running just pretty well. Well, and this is all about these two laptops. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this video will give ideas and inspiration to back some stuff in function again, maybe some tech, maybe some other things, and give a new life to the old stuff. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.